Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Nancy Steffen. I'm the editor of Pink Tractor Magazine at Fastline Media Group. Industry experts in the field of agriculture marketing, Fastline Media Group connects agriculture buyers and sellers through proven print and digital solutions. Today we are presenting how to boost sales with an integrated marketing plan presented by Susan Otterburn. One housekeeping note before we get started: if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in the ReadyTalk chat box in the bottom left corner of your control panel. At the end of the presentation, we'll address as many questions as we can and follow up on any as needed afterwards. Now, without further ado, we'll turn our attention to Fastline Media Group Marketing Director, Susan.
Thanks, Nancy. Hey, everybody, and welcome to our August. I can't believe it's August, but our August webinar Wednesday. Today we're going to talk through just some thoughts on integrated marketing and how to layer marketing and advertising efforts. Before we get started, I wanted to share a little bit about myself so you guys kind of know who I am and what my background is. As Nancy said, I am the marketing director here at Fastline Media Group. I've just finished 5 years with the company, a couple different positions here. Before I came over to Fastline Media Group and into the ag world, I worked in some advertising agencies. I started out in Nashville, Tennessee with some travel and tourism, healthcare background, then moved back a little bit closer to home here back up into Louisville, Kentucky, and worked a little bit more on some insurance and healthcare accounts on that side of the world before I came over to Fastline Media Group. And even before that, I did get a degree in advertising from Western Kentucky University. So we'll get right to it. What is integrated marketing? Well, if you take the word integrated, combining, coordinating separate elements, an interrelated whole. So we're sort of taking multiple things and creating one marketing strategy. And so marketing is, I think, primarily we all think advertising first, but also we want to think about even the selling process and all things that a potential buyer could come in contact with your product or service or business. So it's really all of those messages that you're putting out there, all of those touch points and interactions. Sometimes folks will call this multi-channel marketing. And again, I think that focuses more on the specifically advertising media and using multiple media for your advertising. So I might refer to this a little bit differently throughout the time that we'll spend together today. Then also layered advertising, just different terms there. Here at Fastline Media Group, we really try to base all of our integrated campaigns that we develop for our advertisers and also for ourselves in the marketing department on what we call the 5 M's. And that's the market, who and where, the message, what are you going to say, the methods, those are the tactics or how you're going to say it. And then we also add in a measurement. So we give ourselves an opportunity to step back and say what's really happening. And then managing based on the results of the measure phase. How can we improve or adjust the campaign? Today we're really going to focus in on that middle M, methods, the how. But I think it's also really important to understand the other 4 M's because a lot of times those have an impact on what methods you might choose or which ones you might eliminate based on your market message and measuring and manage. So quickly we'll look at the market. Where are they? Number one, I think that's important to know, are you talking local, hyper-local? Are you looking at a regional audience, or is your product or service something that anybody across the nation can benefit from? Drilling into that, not only where are they, but what do they do? Are they a farmer? Do they have crops, or do they raise livestock? Is your product or service specific specifically geared to one or the other or a subcategory of that. And what activity have they done or not done? So for example, have they planted and then the fields got flooded? So now you're talking to people in your local market who planted corn and got flooded. So they're looking at a replant, something in that category. So really getting specific and determining those, not only the geographics, but a little bit more of the demographics and even more granular on the psychographics of that. For example, also, have they purchased your product in the past? Are you looking at existing customers, or are you trying to gather new customers? Or maybe they purchased a companion product. Maybe they bought a tractor and you sell bush hogs. So you kind of have a prerequisite there that you got to have something to pull the bush hog with. On to the message. So once you know who you're talking to, that determines a little bit of what you're going to say. One thing that we try to do, but it's very hard to be specific. A lot of times you just want to say, hey, come buy our product. But we really want to encourage you to ferret out what are those unique benefits of your company, your product, or your service. Are you announcing a special offer or promotion? And then what makes your product or service better than the competition? So maybe you and your competition have the same benefit, and you might not be exactly unique, but if you do it in a different way, then that is sort of your differentiating factor that you want to really call out and write down in your message. And also don't forget to really highlight dates and other important contact information that may be relevant. Before I move on, I want to make a point about this whole 5M's process, is that it's really important to write it down. Sitting around a table or having the ideas in your brain of who it is we want to talk to and what it is we want to say is great, but what we found is there's a whole lot more success and buy-in from yourself and others in the organization who may need to weigh in on that when you've got it physically written down and you can come back and refer to that. As you're developing your methods, often it's easy to get on a tangent or go off in one direction. But if you've come back to your market and your message that are written down originally, then you can sort of weigh that and make sure that you're still staying on target and staying on track. Okay. Also, just a few more notes here on the message, some things to consider. Is this message one that is sort of a year-long message? Is this a consistent message? Maybe it's a brand awareness, promoting how great your business is in one way or another. That's something you can say all year long. Things like service and parts. While there are some peak seasons for some of these things, depending on what you do, that is something that can continually be talked about. So your methods and your plan would probably reflect more of an annual type plan than a one-time sort of blitz, if you will. So then you get into the flip side of that. Is there local or seasonal information? So know your history of your buying cycles and your product and the trends in your industry. And then also the example I used earlier, just being aware of and having a plan for that rain out scenario, that replant scenario, if that impacts your business and your sales. Working ahead and having a plan in place before that happens can really increase your speed to market. Note here, if you'll see on the screen, Fastline Media Group, we we absolutely recognized that there were seasons that were more active on our website than others. So we looked at our analytics and looked at our history and the trends in our industry and noticed that there are certain times of the year when more people are conducting more searches on Fastline.com. So we wanted to make sure that our catalog component was matching that. So we have moved to, in the last 3 to 4 years, 5 years now, a 17-time schedule so that we're able to accelerate distribution during those high shopping months and get more messages in front of the people, potential buyers, at a time when, based on analytics, they were doing more searches and more people were in that active shopping mode. Something to note about that, timing is key, and the different methods may apply differently during that higher volume time. So as I was mentioning, when do the people not only buy your product or service, or when do they need your solution, but when do they start to even consider that? We see peaks in the fall for tractors and combines, and here's just some research from a survey that we conducted a year or so ago, and we asked farmers, when did you first recognize the need for, and I believe this is tractors, and if you'll notice, they first recognized the need in sort of that October, November time frame, but if you're an equipment dealer, you may or may not see that same exact curve on those same exact months. And what this says to me is I need to be consistent all year long, because even though there's that spike in October, November, December, there are still 4%, 5%, 6% in February, March, April that I'm not willing to miss when they start that process. When they are first recognizing the need, we need to have our product, our service, our name, our brand, some messaging in front of them during that time, because you really don't want to eliminate 6% of your opportunity. All right, so methods, really what we're coming here to talk about. There are some layers here. So this goes back to that layered marketing approach. I've got this layered intentionally from the bottom up. Traditional media is a foundation. So it really supports all of the other elements of an integrated marketing plan. It's really that firm foundation that you lay in the beginning and more solidly, so that you can build up on it with digital media efforts and even social media on top of that. Some folks will consider social media a digital media, but I think what we've seen is that social media has really taken on its own life. It's got enough oomph behind it that we can really separate that out and treat it differently than how you might treat digital media, and definitely differently than how you would treat your traditional media. And with all of that being said, they stack upon one another so that sort of the sum is greater than any one of its individual parts. And I think I got that saying right. So it just goes to show that the strength of integrated marketing really comes from the blending of these three types of media. So I really appreciate this guy, Roger Dooley. He has this website, neurosciencemarketing.com, and it's really intriguing to me. I also have a bit of a psychology background, so I like to look at this information. He's got some really insightful articles about the way our brains process media, the way our brains process marketing messages. And it's kind of nerdy, but I really think for being in my position as a marketing director, it's interesting, and from time to time we really find some great insights here. So this guy, Roger Dooley, wrote an article in a publication that we receive here called PrintWorks, and the title of that is Paper Beats Digital in Many Ways, according to neuroscience. So I'll break down some of those really interesting quotes here. Just again, these reiterate that strength of an integrated plan by leveraging both print and digital media. So neuroscience research shows that paper-based content offer advantages in connecting with our brains. And really they cite that this print to digital movement, this transformation, has been driven by how we consume this new media. And I'm absolutely in that. I'm sitting here with my phone in front of me. Earlier today I was texting on my phone and searching on my iPad, and often I'll have a TV on and my computer in the background. So, just absorbing more and more media that is on a screen. However, his conclusion is that even though we consume a lot more screen media, he doesn't really feel like that's the best performance, because they feel like and have found through research that this multi-channel approach leverages the benefits of paper with the benefits of digital. So blending those two for an integrated plan is really where your strength comes in. So here's just a little bit of detail. Paper is more impactful and memorable. So if you've got a product or a message that you need a little bit more explanation, so deeper comprehension, longer term recall, something that, again, you want to sort of solidify that top of mind awareness, that base knowledge, paper is really strong for that. However, it's not good for that localization, personalization, that introduction of audio and visual. So when you can layer those benefits with digital on top of it, both of them work very well together. And this quote here just sort of sums that up, that marketers should take advantage of the unique properties of both paper and digital. So I think I've hit this a little bit, but just blending multiple tactics, putting your message in multiple places. I like to describe it as following the journey of a shopper. So if you think about driving down the road, you might see an outdoor board, you might hear a radio spot, you might see a newspaper ad, and then when you get to your office or your home, you're going to see a banner ad, and you might even get a Facebook alert for something. So you're just, that brand or that marketing is following you and touching you, giving you marketing touches in all the places that you are. And so that you're sort of being pulled through that process with specific media. A little bit of deep dive here in traditional media. When I say that, I'm meaning catalogs like Fastline, magazines that are a bit more editorial like Pink Tractor. Then you've got radio, local radio, satellite radio, however it comes through your radio waves. Television obviously is more of considered a traditional media. It's been around a while. There for a while, everyone was reacting to TV like it was going to put radio out of business. Well, obviously, radio is still here. What happened when TV came onto the scene was people just adapted and expanded and started consuming more, which is what we're seeing here with digital is, digital is not knocking anything completely out, but what digital is doing is sort of giving us just a bigger pie to consume, and we are eating every bit of that pie and consuming more and more media. Newspaper obviously is another one of those that folks kind of felt like radio and TV were both definitely going to put out of business. And I think it held on much longer than a lot of folks predicted way back when. Direct mail, outdoor billboards, all of these sort of fall in that traditional media category. And again, these provide that consistent and reliable exposure. They do offer some localized opportunities here. However, it's still a generic localization with a less specific audience depending on what options you have available in your area. With this, there's a risk. There may be more wasted impressions with that lack of demographic targeting with broadcast radio or broadcast television. Some of your satellite radio options, custom channel on TV sort of things, streaming channels, those get you a little bit more demographic targeting, but more of those traditional broadcast media, you're going to cover everybody, but you might not really be talking to everybody. Catalogs like Fastline are some of that where you get into that niche audience, and really these are designed to be a pull marketing. So we're gonna send these into the homes of a qualified audience and get them to take an action. We're going to pull them closer to you. We're going to put this in front of them and pull them onto your website. Just another little chart here about the unaided brand recall, another word for top-of-mind awareness, that the physical media that you can touch and hold really has that higher unaided recall, so direct mail piece, newspaper, catalog. When someone asks top-of-mind questions, that's going to resonate than if you had something that you've only been exposed to through a digital media only. So speaking of digital media, things like websites, banner ads, website or internet marketing, SEM, SEO type things, email blasts that come through your computer, videos that are seen on your computer or phone. These do offer an opportunity for consistent messaging, easily ramped up for key times of year. It's a quick ramp up. You can blitz up your impression numbers and really pile on the frequency. There's a lot of audience targeting capabilities, geographic, demographic, then also flexibility. So the strength here of digital, like I was talking about earlier, is often stronger, a stronger strength when the digital is supported with that traditional media. So the work that the traditional does amps up the results that you would have with a digital campaign. I'm going to leave this chart up here for just a second and let you guys read it. I don't need to read the whole thing to you, but just a comparison here of where you can see the strengths of physical versus digital, and how some things like memory and retrieval and accuracy, really both media types resonate and scored high on that. Really the only thing where digital won out over physical was this attention. So the focused attention for a sustained period of time on key components of the ad, that digital really had the higher outcome there. All right, that may or may not have been enough time. This is a Temple University study, and you can go this website here, gontpa.com. If you can see that here at the side, I think we might be covering it up in there. This is the name of that study that was on that website if you're curious and want to learn more about that. So now we want to get into the social media, things like blogs. So it's not just Facebook. Things like blogs are considered a social media. Facebook, Twitter, the obvious ones here, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. LinkedIn is also social media. YouTube is considered in some regards a social media. And there are hundreds and hundreds of others, Snapchat, and I don't even know. I can't even keep up with them. They change so frequently. But these are kind of the core that we see in ag industry. Pinterest actually should probably go up here. There's a lot of good traction that we've seen here at Fastline and Pink Tractor and with our individual brands of Pinterest being a strong place where we're showing up with even not a whole lot of effort, especially on the Fastline side. Social media is used to enhance those traditional and digital campaigns. These offer timely and customizable messages. But a warning here, it is really not, even though you think, well, everybody's on Facebook or so many people have a Twitter account, it's still really not considered a mass media yet. So really, when we did a survey, we found that around 12% of sort of farm owners, operators, managers are using what they consider ag-related social media at least weekly. So they may be on there looking at sports or weather or local events, but really when we ask specifically, are you using ag-related social media, only about 12% said that they are doing that on a weekly basis. And then if you look at this, we even segmented that out a little bit further, and through earlier pieces of the survey, we had sort of segmented the group into daily digital users. So even of that daily digital user group, still only about 24% of those daily digital users indicated that social media was one of their weekly ag-related sources, which I was surprised by this, quite honestly. I really felt like those numbers, if I had to guess, those numbers would have been much higher. So this was a good point that we always try to remember over here, is that social media is great, and you're going to reach a lot of really highly qualified people, but if social media is the only place you're going, you're really going to miss out on a lot of people too. Again, integrated marketing. That's really the key, in my opinion, and through what we're seeing here with the science and the research, that multiple touch points in multiple places is going to get you higher frequency among those people who are using all of those media, and then it's going to make sure that you're covering a much higher percent of the total qualified audience out there. One case study that we've done, I just want to share with you guys an example of how this looks kind of in the real world with one of our advertisers here at Fastline Media Group. So for example, this customer, their market, we established that it was hay farmers. That's still pretty generic, pretty general. So we drilled into hay farmers in these specific states. But even beyond that, we wanted to go for someone who was really serious about their hay farming business. They were looking for an expert to partner with them to help them take their hay business to the next level. So when we combine all that together, the message that the company wanted to put out there was that if you're in the hay business, when you think of hay, think of us first. Because our experience, knowledge, and full line of products makes us the experts. So we didn't just make a claim that we're the experts. We wanted to be specific in this message and back that up with the experience, knowledge, and full line of products that supported that claim of being the hay experts. All of this translated into Facebook, so they did have a social media strategy. They had a Facebook page in place, but it really wasn't performing very well. We were able to go in and do an audit and help them refine their strategy. And actually, I want to take a moment here. Yes, I just said social media strategy. Social media is something that needs and deserves a strategy. It needs some thought and some planning and someone dedicated to monitoring it. It will not be successful, and it will not be an integral part in your integrated plan if you do one post every other week. And if you're never looking at your comments, or if you're posting about the local tractor pull. That's great, and that should be a part of your strategy, but that can't be your only strategy and be successful. So that's a whole nother webinar. So if you're interested, let me know at the end of this. Shoot me an email. Let me know if you're interested in sort of that social media strategy. That might be a webinar that we can revive or send you some information about. So also with this campaign, this case study, we did include some promoted posts through Fastline's Facebook page. So we're able to leverage the audience that we've built and the engagement that we've crafted with this highly qualified audience. And so we can sort of leverage that and put a post to our people on behalf of an advertiser. And we see some really stellar results here anywhere from 15, 20,000 views or impressions in a 24 to 48 hour period. Typically that translates into about 200 to 300 clicks. And that click can go to your website, it can go to your Facebook page, it can go to your equipment listings on fastline.com. But we've put together our strategy and cultivated that for 7-8 years now, so that it's finally at a point where even drilled down and geo-targeted, we know that our quality is there and the quantity is there to provide a product for our advertisers that want to leverage that, even if their social media is not really up to where they want it to be right now. We also included some geo-targeted email blasts. This is another effort over here at Fastline Media Group where we're focusing on quality. Our email blasts have anywhere on average from a 14 to 18% open rate, which we've not found open rates that strong anywhere else. And we've dedicated an internal employee to monitoring and cultivating and building and keeping that list clean and pure, so that again, we know that when we send an email on your behalf, it's reaching the most qualified audience of highly engaged people who like to get emails from us and who are willing to open them. Often, so many people get so many emails and they're not good quality and they just stop opening. They might not unsubscribe, but they're just not going to open. So we really try to balance that for a really high quality, high impact list. And then we also included some geo-targeted and category-targeted banner ads on fastline.com. Obviously, these are hay folks. They want to reach people who are interested in hay equipment. They really didn't have much to say to someone necessarily who was looking at a combine. So we're not going to put your ad next to combines when you're really looking for somebody who's serious about hay. Is somebody buying a combine probably working on some hay? Maybe. We don't know for sure. But we know for sure if they're looking at the hay equipment that they need hay equipment. So it really matches up the quality of that lead or that exposure. And then we also included some front cover and then some spread advertising in, again, those select geo-targeted categories. So if you notice, the order that I've listed these is sort of that print foundation on the bottom, building up with the digital exposure, and then topping it off with social media. So once you've got the message and you've got the methods and you've got the market, the message, and the methods, what's happening? Is the plan that we've put together and is all of the thought that we've put into this campaign correct? Maybe or maybe not. So this guy, Peter Drucker, is attributed to having said this quote that you can't manage what you can't measure or what you don't measure. And I often say that a lot. If you've just got a gut feeling that it's working or that it's not, I'm not so sure that I'm willing to make a dramatic change unless we've actually gotten some analytics. And in order to do this, the first thing is set a goal and write it down. Make it part of your plan. Do we want to sell 10 units? Do we want to sell 100 units? What are we trying to accomplish with this campaign? Maybe it's just an overall increase of awareness. We're launching a new product or we're changing our store hours. So how many people know about our store hours today versus how many people are going to know about our store hours in 3 weeks or 6 months? Or maybe it's a campaign where we just want people to pick up the phone and call us. We want qualified leads or we want emails to come in. Again, you sort of see the point here. It doesn't really matter what the goal is, just as long as you set one and write it down. Another one here is giveaway prizes. Second, you got the goals set, now track them. So you can look at who's going to track this. Are you as the marketing team or the marketing person responsible for tracking that? Is there some component that your sales team needs to keep track of? Or maybe it's something that sort of boils down to an increase of sales and accounting can be your source for that. So just making sure that you're aware on the upfront Who's going to help you get the metrics on the back end? If you don't know that, again, if the sales team isn't willing to track that, then you can't measure it because you're going to get incomplete data. How are you going to do that? Is there a coupon? Is someone looking at website analytics? Are you going to do pre-campaign survey and a post-campaign survey? You could talk to 100 people online and send a survey and says, do you know what our store hours are? Yes or no. And then afterwards you can send out a survey to 100 people and measure the impact that you've had. All right. It is okay and expected and often encouraged to make changes. You got to see what's working. If it's not working, or if you see that it could be working better, change it. Just because you've written a plan down doesn't mean you cannot change it. It's just words on a page, and it's strategy, and don't let that hold you back from being more successful. And then again, in my opinion here, I've shown you and read information about that attribution model, if you will. So you might get through and you might be measuring phone calls from different lead sources, and you find that your Facebook page is getting 10 times more phone calls. Okay, that's great, but if you look back, what is it about that Facebook ad that encouraged the phone call? Was it easier to click? Was the phone number different? Was the phone number even present on all of your other campaigns? Just being aware that you're not going to abandon a supporting layer just because it doesn't have the highest metric. Again, holistically integrated campaign, looking at the flow of the entire journey and where those results can and should be expected to come from. And maybe even go all the way back up. Maybe it's not your methods. Maybe it's the market. Maybe you're talking to them, to the wrong person at the wrong time. That's always a consideration. And same thing with your message. Is your message just not really resonating with the audience the way you thought it might? You thought they'd go for a 10% off coupon, but they're not, so if you can ratchet that up to 15, that might really get the phone to ring. This is where you need to just anticipate some flexibility. All right, so here is where you can learn more. So FastlineMediaGroup.com. On that page, there's a resources tab that you can click, or you can go straight to FastlineMediaGroup.com/resources. All of the information about our Webinar Wednesday series is there. On FastlineMediaGroup.com, you can also download a media kit, click to view our catalogs, learn about our products, just sort of browse through everything, the different brands that Fastline Media Group offers. Future Webinar Wednesday topics, and we do also have some white paper information out there that you're welcome to download from previous webinars that we've hosted. So that concludes the presentation. We're going to jump out and let's see if we have any comments or questions. Hang on. All right, let me navigate over here. All right, if anybody's got questions, you can use the little ReadyTalk question box down there on your screen. Type that in, and we will see that come up. We do have the phones muted. Often on these things we hear feedback and background noise, so it's just much easier if we can do it with the typed in questions.
Well, it looks like everyone's being shy today, so we do appreciate you being here. We'll be following up with an email survey and a link to the white paper. We're looking forward to your feedback so we can continue to deliver engaging and useful content. To see a replay of today's webinar or sign up for future Webinar Wednesday events, you can visit, like Susan said, FastlineMediaGroup.com/resources. And for other needs, including products, services, and sales, please complete the Contact Us form on that page. We do hope you'll join us in September for our next webinar, which is Beyond Price. Looks like we don't have any questions, so that'll be all for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.